Savage Dragon 114 from March of 2004. Our hero looking pretty rough, laid out in the snow on this cover at the feet of this bloody silhouette here. Maybe a slight callback to the cover of issue 8 with Cutthroat and Hellraiser. Well, let's see what shakes out here. First, the credits. Eric Larson, writer-artist. Bill Crabtree, colorist. John Workman, lettering fool. And Josh Eckhorn, handsome lip-syncing front for the real offstage singer. A twisted hunchback with a velvet voice. All right, mission: kill the Savage Dragon. It's pretty straightforward. Last we left off, issue 113. Octopus, an open face, nearly killed the dragon in this huge explosion, leaving him unconscious in the water, where Alex Wilde would come to his aid and plant a big kiss on the guy right in front of his wife. And we pick back up here with Dragon recovering in the hospital and Jennifer asking if he loves Alex Wilde. Dragon explains he has no memory of the kiss and that Alex is just his friend and he's committed to Jennifer. But this seems to ease her concerns until she sees his gross-ass, skinny little arms growing back there. Looks like a wet cigar. And he's going to need that to grow back quick, because the Vicious Circle gang of super freaks, they're back, and they're terrorizing Chicago, throwing civilians out of windows, like our poor John Day there, as well as any superpowered folks who are brave enough to stand up to them, like The Rock. He's a small business. He's not a crime fighter anymore. He's just a small business owner running a diner. But when he refuses to pay the protection money to the gang, they put his head on a red-hot surface of the stovetop, turning our guy into Hot Rock. And he tells him to drop dead, which leads to threats against his family. And that doesn't sit well with the Shrew. He kind of shoves his claws right through this dude and slashes him in half, killing this bozo, spilling blood all over the kitchen. Shrew's a dangerous man, man. I wouldn't mess with that guy. Like here, where the Rock tells him to grab a mop and clean up this mess, and Shrew gives him a pretty nasty look. Anyway, over here, Angel and Jennifer are walking home from school when they are suddenly attacked by, looks like Devastator there. We haven't seen that guy since like issue 60 on the cover there. Anyway, he distracts Jennifer while Angel runs head first into this blue broad. And we'll see what happens there. Back at the hospital, Dragon is talking to Frank about all these attacks, when Cutthroat smashes through the windows, looking to take out our hero. So Dragon gets slashed, and then he's tossed down into the snow, which gives him a chance to escape. So, Cutthroat's kind of lost, looking for Dragon. And Jennifer, back with them. So Angel is held hostage by this blue lady. And Jen threatens to crush the Devastator's head. And the blue lady's like, fine, I don't give a shit. So she tosses this guy a mile into the air and then grabs the chick by the throat. But will that pay off? Meanwhile, back in this ramshackle dwelling on the outskirts of town, Cutthroat comes home to his wife and young son. Got some really great character work here. This guy is struggling with a midlife crisis. He's 45 years old, out of shape, can barely afford to take care of his family. They are no longer the hot couple that we saw back in the miniseries here. You know, this life of crime was supposed to pay well, but it looks like Cutthroat's kind of having second thoughts here. Glowbug, his wife, also putting on the LBs. And she's trying to improve his mood with some encouragement and that dump truck ass there. But they're interrupted by this rat bastard. He's going to make Cutthroat pay for his failure. But luckily, the Dragon followed this guy home. He jumps in to save these idiots, but he gets no thanks, man. After he puts down the bad guy, he gets jumped by the folks he was rescuing. The Dragon tries to talk some sense into Cutthroat, saying it's time to grow up, man. Stop playing these childish games. Take care of your kid. Hang up the fruity tights. After some consternation and the Chicago PD showing up, Cutthroat accepts Dragon's offer to work with the good guys. And then on the last page here, we find out that Angel was kidnapped. Jennifer, upset obviously. She let them escape with her daughter as a hostage, but she had no choice. And Dragon says it's time to deal with the vicious circle once and for all. And this ends now. On to the Mighty Man backup feature by Mark Englert. Chapter 6, War and Peace. Looks like Slammer back there, robbed his last bank. Mighty Man flies him out to the deep space and just leaves him there to die. So that's pretty cool. Anyway, so while Mighty Man is ratcheting up the deadly violence, Nurse Ann Stevens is just living her best life, man. She's rollerblading, hand gliding, dancing with her fiance. And Mighty Man, he takes a break from crime fighting, turning back into his alter ego, Billy Berman. And he needs to refuel his body, so he raids the fridge, putting down some chicken wings and some chocolate cake. Then some bad dudes bust in the door, get a couple shots off, one of them hitting Billy before he can transform. But he somehow survives, and then he kills these dudes so they won't reveal his secret identity. Then later, he tries to turn in some prisoners, but he's told that the jail is full. So Mighty Man says he's going to make his own prison. I'm sure the ACLU is going to love that. All right, wrapping this one up, Dragon goes to deliver an early wedding present to Ann Stevens. It's the original Mighty Man journal. So he thinks that maybe Ann could find it informative. But anyway, her husband-to-be, Larry, he interrupts the conversation and Dragon takes off. And Larry's concerned, man. He's like, well, what the hell is your relationship with the dragon here? Is something going on between you two? And Anna's like, no, this was about Mighty Man. And he's like, well, were you dating Mighty Man or something? And she finally revealed. She was like, no, I was Mighty Man. So that's pretty good stuff there. On to Comic Bits by Chris Giarrusso. G-Man and his brother, they get their magical enhancements stolen. To be continued. So like every story in this book, kind of a cliffhanger ending with more to come next issue. Just leaves the 2-page Fanatics here. Larson letting us know that next issue is a giant 100-page special. And he also gives shout out to artist Andy Kuhn and his band The Fuglies. They released their second album, Indiana. Larson digs it. I'll include a link if you want to hear that for yourself. We've also got letters here from Mr. Comic Tropes, Chris Piers, as well as a couple other regulars. Nothing too noteworthy. All right, that's going to do it for this one. Here's a nice little pinup on the back cover by Andy Smith, Dragon and his character First Man, colored by Larson himself. All right, so that just leaves next week, issue 115. Adios.